evening, whatever time zone you're in, to Cahoots 2020. And we are going to be doing a very rad review of the 2020 year at Cahoots Theater, which is kind of wild that it's the end of 2020, but here we are. Just want to say we're super, super grateful to be here with all of you as family, and we're just very keen to reminisce and see what gets brought up. My name, for those of you that don't know, is Wallace Caldoza, and with me over here on the screen is the ridiculously talented and wise Jordan Lafreniere, whom I love dearly, and we are both this year's Hot House Liftoff dramaturgs. And both of us have the distinct joy and pleasure to chat with the incomparable Tanisha Tate, who's the artistic director of Cahoots Theater, and the brilliant and lovely and rocking that fierce red lip, Lisa Alves, who is the current managing producer. So we're very happy to be with you both and getting to chat with you. Oh my gosh. But before we get into that, just a little bit of housekeeping for folks. The event is being closed captioned for deaf and hearing impaired audiences. And if you look on your screen towards the bottom, you can click on the closed captioning button. And once you click on that, it should turn on the closed captionings for you. We're also recording this session and it will be posted later to YouTube. So we are asking folks to please turn off your video and microphones, and then you'll be able to see the video later on YouTube. A little bit of a kind of a helpful tip, you're kind of able to reorient your screen to focus it a little bit more, so you can hide, there's an option to hide non-video participants, so only the speakers will appear on screen and on scene for this event. And the last thing I have on my list is that if anyone has any questions, please feel free to just drop them in the chat and we will do our best to get to them and insert them as the conversation flows. But besides that, 'tis all. We're so happy to be here. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Tanisha. Hello, Jordan.
Hello.
Lovely folks. Lovely folks. It's so nice to be here with you all. I suppose I'm going to have to let Jordan kind of kick us off if he does not mind.
I don't mind at all. I am so happy to. Our first question is an easier one. They get harder as the night goes on.
Oh, no, I'm stressed.
Don't stress. That's not true.
Okay.
The first question is, I texted my brother earlier today. My brother is significantly younger than me. He's 15. And I texted him and I asked him, what things do you need to survive a pandemic? And he texted me back, a water purifier, a backpack, canned food, and a rope. And my question to you folks today is, what things do you need to survive a pandemic?
Sure.
Love that question.
It's a great question. Tanisha, I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I've prepared for a zombie apocalypse.
Of course.
I feel a little bit like I have a foot up in this. Not really. Because this is such a non-zombie apocalyptic situation. I don't have to run anywhere. I'm being told to stay put. So I think the biggest thing is having a mask to survive the pandemic. And lots and lots of chocolate. So those are the two things. That's all I need to stay safe.
That's all? I love that.
Mask and chocolate.
That's it.
I love
Preferably the mask inside. I mean, the chocolate inside my mask.
Not the mask inside the chocolate.
Not the mask
Surprise.
Kinder Surprise, though. I love a good Kinder Surprise.
So your mask just feeds you chocolate from the inside?
Absolutely. You've been doing it wrong the whole time.
Wow. That is not my answer. To survive a pandemic. You said 4, right? You said 4 things?
As many as you want.
Okay. Music.
Mm-hmm.
Music that I love, for sure. Mangoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could eat mangoes all day and all night. Access to one person that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And something comfortable to sleep on.
Can I say that all of a sudden, like a mask with chocolate is starting to sound very pleasing?
I'm literally thinking like, damn, already Tanisha has a better answer than me. But yeah, no, that sounds lovely.
Oh, but I forgot the mask, so I would die quickly.
But you're only around-
That's why you have each other.
See, that's why we work well together.
This is so important. She remembers the logistics. Okay.
Okay, exactly. So thank you, Jordan. That's a beautiful question.
course.
I'm wondering, so we have a series of kind of little surprises for both of you. When you asked us to kind of come and chat with you, which is my dream come true, we realized that, you know, Cahoots is about community and it's a collective, and it would be remiss to only extend that offer and that honor to just the two of us. So we're very, very lucky that we have some beautiful people that we work with in the Hot House unit who want to kind of chime in and share some thoughts alongside us for you. So Jordan, I don't know if you want to, you know.
The first one is Dere. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Hi, Tanisha and Lisa. I'm so grateful and appreciative for Cahoots. I think 2020 is such a wild year to start to lead a theater company, but I think Cahoots has done a wonderful job in demonstrating not only that they care for the art that artists make, but for the artists themselves, and helping to support them in any way possible. I think Cahoots has done a wonderful job in demonstrating how a theater company can support artists, and I think that is all due to Tanisha, Lisa, and the entire Cahoots team. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to see what Cahoots does when we're able to go back into a theater. I think that you guys are so wonderful and so compassionate, and I'm so excited for what the future holds for Cahoots. So thank you so much, and I hope you both have a wonderful holidays and a happy new year. Okay, bye.
Hooray.
Guys,
It's a good surprise. So following from the spirit of Dure's amazing mess, Dure, we love you. We have some questions kind of following that, and just for some other stuff. But what I want to start with is the referencing the season announcement that was released. And Tanisha and Lisa, both of you said some things that stuck. And so Tanisha, in the upcoming season's announcement, you speak of I'm quoting you here, loving more deeply among the chaos. And you talk about the importance of care within the village, the community, the family that is Cahoots, especially this year. And it's this kind of care that you espouse that wrestles with the powers that be, who, as you say, have this overwhelming desire to liberate those in the margins as there is to keep them there. So with that in mind, I'm curious to know how you and Lisa have been tending to the Village of Artists at Cahoots throughout the year, and how they have been tending to you in return. If we can start there.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think that, you know, the first quarter of the year, I was looking forward to bringing about some initiatives that I had created, and I was about to start something called Contact Lenses, and there were a few things that I was really excited about. And, you know, we came back from the holidays, we went through 2 months, and then pandemic. Shocking, really kind of leveled me in terms of what that meant. What was that going to mean to someone that was new in this job? And immediately, you know, I thought, okay, I can panic or I can breathe. And so I chose the latter. And then the next question was, in a year or in a period where we cannot produce and don't know when we're going to be able to produce, what is a theater company? What does that mean? And I wasn't sure. And so the way that I chose to approach it was, I just kept coming back to what's our mandate? What is the point of the existence of Cahoots? And the point of the existence of Cahoots is to shine light on people who often don't otherwise have it shined on them, to give opportunities and a leg up to people who often are not welcomed into the mainstream, whatever that means. And so I thought, okay, we need to find a way to do that same sort of reaching out and that same sort of bringing in without productions. And productions aren't everything. So at that point, it really became about what does the community need? What does the community need? And when Lisa came aboard in April, it was such a relief to me because I was no longer running the company alone, and I could actually think about having a partner to make these things come to fruition in a way that didn't leave me with the burden of everything. And then in May, racial chaos. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And suddenly we saw communities that were just really being pummeled, they were in so much pain. And so my immediate thought was, how can we ease that pain somehow? And that's when Lisa and I talked about the community conversations. And that was the first thing that we decided to do, was that we were going to have these conversations for specific groups that were carrying certain weights. And those went incredibly well. But then was the next question, which is, we're also in a pandemic. And so people don't have the money they normally have. They don't have the security they normally have. And that's when we decided that we would actually try and do something financial and create this little microgrant program called Small Change to give people money, and not exorbitant money, not money to make a play, not money to do something that a lot of people can't think about doing when they're going through the stress that people are going through, but just like, this will help with your groceries. This will get that prescription that you need. This will pay a part of your rent. And to me, that was the most immediate way to let our artists and our communities know that we care. And the care and love and gratitude and just kindness that were received in return were more than I ever could have imagined. Yeah, I'll let Lisa talk now because I don't want to monopolize.
Well, I mean, I feel like the reason why I applied for my position at Cahoots was exactly to do what Tanisha was doing and like started talking to me about right when like got online my first day. So I mean, it was like Tanisha had all these ideas, and I was like, yes, like we have to. If we weren't doing that, then what are we doing? Because I think something that's really important to think about, especially during these times, but also like not even pandemic times, is that artists, like, we need to take care of our artists. Something that I said to Angela's son in the CBC article, that we as in like people in leadership positions and in institutions historically haven't taken care of artists before, because we treat art as a commodity, but that there's so much more than that in art. There's so much more value. And so, and that's why I love working with Tanisha. She's all about the value of the person and the artist and the community. And so I think that was the driving force. And yeah, it makes me have a reason to like come online, do the work, and work with our team so that we can continue transforming the landscape so that we can offer more and engage with our audience in I think in a more engaging way and in a more dynamic way than we've seen it before in this strange, weird time. So, yeah.
There's like a fierceness. I mean, just following what you both say, there's this fierce reciprocity of care and love, I think, embedded in this work, and especially in something, I think the small change endeavor, for instance, that has stuck with me. It's something I actually talk about quite frequently because it's one of those, I know the saying is put your money where your mouth is, and also where your heart is and where your community is. Like that's how the change often happens. And like you said, it seems like capital as a small amount, what difference can it make? A huge amount. The art does not exist without the artists, you know what I mean? Or people don't, we have to care for each other. And I think seeing that there's a praxis as well as that kind of ethic, I mean, that's what dreams are made of.
I couldn't agree more. And although a lot of companies were offering people commissions and money to make art, which I think is great because a lot of artists were hungry to make art, it was really important to me to recognize that, the stories that we tell as theater creators are important, but as important are the stories of the storytellers, the lives of the storytellers. And if we are deficient, if we are empty, we have nothing to give. And so my thing is, how do we keep people well so that when COVID is over, there are artists that still exist that are, that have something inside of them to give to stories. And I didn't want to tie it to art making because this is such a weight on people's mental health. And there are a lot of people that do not feel creative right now, and that's okay. So I didn't want it to be like, well, here's this if you make a play. Because, well, I can't actually make a play right now. Like I can barely get out of bed right now. Right. And I wanted to speak to those people.
That it is so appreciated.
Yeah, for me, I think theaters are charities. They receive charitable status. Their goal should be to give back to the community. And I feel like no theater company that I know really demonstrates that in the way that Cahoots demonstrates that. To tie into my next question, I've been thinking, or I thought this morning, I was thinking a lot about the Moonlight, the scene where Mahershala Ali holds up what's his name? Alex Hibbert, and teaches him how to swim. And I was thinking about how, in so many ways, that scene could be a metaphor for what's going on right now. It's a stretch. I know it's a stretch.
No, it's not.
It could be a metaphor for what's going on right now, especially for BIPOC folk. I think in so many ways, BIPOC people are just trying to keep their heads above water, and they're disproportionately impacted by COVID. And I really feel like, me personally, speaking as an artist who's a part of Cahoots, that you folks have been my Mahershala Ali through all of this.
Oh my God,
why? So my question is, who has been your Mahershala Ali, and what waters are you swimming in?
Jesus Lord.
What question is that?
You asked me and Wallace to prepare. What did you expect you would get?
We're like, interview us. We didn't know it was going to be like PhD worthy. This is fantastic.
This is like Oprah Winfrey level interview questions.
Who has been
for you the best? For you both the best.
Lisa, do you want to go first?
No. I need to think.
Wow. Okay. There are a few people who have made this time bearable and have helped me stay above water, for sure. People that I have sought out or turned to in different ways. First on that list is Lisa, because I could not have gone through this entire year alone. Like I mean, if you really want to see me in the fetal position in the corner, that is what would have happened. So to get a partner leading this company with me was huge. In terms of, you know, other people that I have really been able to turn to, my sister is my best friend, and she's always someone at the other end of the phone. You know, and then like my best friends, my mentors, the number of times when I'm just at a loss as to what's going on in the job, in the industry, and I call Philip Aiken, you know, it's like, I just call him and like, P, what the hell? What the hell? You know, and having people in my life, both in the industry and not in the industry, who can just say like, keep going, you're doing great, it's all good, who can sometimes take my thoughts completely away from Cahoots when I don't want them to be on Cahoots. That's good too. I'm trying to deal with this new light. I'm like staring at the light, but I should be staring at the camera. So weird. Yeah, my closest friends, my mentors, Lisa, have really helped me. And on a grander scale, the people that are fighting for right, you know, BLM lifts me up. Healthcare workers right now lift me up. The people that are doing the work that is thankless, but so necessary, that are literally keeping us alive and keeping us going. The amount of gratitude that I feel to them is immense. And when I think to myself, if they can do it, I can't complain about a whole heck of a lot. You know, oh my God, you guys, there are days when I just feel so tired or I don't feel well. And I'm like, I don't want to do these 3 Zoom calls today. I don't want to do this today. And then I think about like Chadwick, you know, doing what he did with stage 3 cancer. And I'm like, Tanisha, just get over yourself, you know? So I've been really looking to people who have borne much greater weights than I have, as well as my Mahershalas.
Damn, that was good. Yeah, I feel like I've been swimming in like so many different waters these last 9 months. What are months? But like in my work body of water, it's definitely like Tanisha. Like, oh, Tanisha. I know you say a lot, like you just said, you don't know how you would be doing this without a partner and a co-leader. And like, I knew I was coming into this position with a co-leader. Like I knew who you were. We met, we talked. But like I think leading with the type of person that you are, that has such kindness and such, you know, drive and such trust, has been remarkably not only comforting but energizing and empowering. So thank you for that. Thank you for helping me to swim. I'm also like in these work body of waters that I'm in, like the Cahoots board has been phenomenal. I mean, I still consider myself as like a young arts leader, and so coming into this co-leadership role, in a pandemic, I felt a little unhinged, a little bit like oh, like what am I doing? I'm not even producing theater. What? So I think I know the board has been extremely helpful, and like just having them at arm's reach has been so beneficial for my personal development, but I also think of the whole company's progress in during this time. My mentor is obviously like totally like giving them a call and like, what the heck's happening? And my mom, I live with my mom currently during this pandemic, so it's been so nice to have somebody to be with in these like scary, strange times. And although like we have a small space, it's been nice to, you know, come back to our relationship and be like, yes, family. Because I found that before, in the before times, there was so much disconnect, even though, you know, I was surrounded by people. It's nice to have this place and have my mom to ground me. In that regard. So yeah, a whole bunch of people. Oh, and one more. The whole group of people, including just all the artists right now, like whether they're working, whether they're not working. I think like just going on social media and seeing and like interacting with my peers and with other artists, it's like it's reminding me what we're doing here, you know? And like that's the reason why I'm getting up. I'm getting up in the morning and doing the work for the artists. And I just can't wait to like see everybody and like be in a space and yeah, just be back with all the artists. It's not the same over Zoom. Although I'm very grateful for Zoom, the artists have been like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. It's fine.
Oh, I just have to add something about how amazing the board has been as well. I mean, you know, the number of times, I mean, I started, the week that I started Cahoots, there was a Canada Council grant due, like that week. If I did not have the board, I mean, immediate drowning, immediate drowning, no life raft, dead. They have really been very supportive. And I remember one day after a board meeting, just posting something on Facebook about, you know, we have such a lovely board, and someone responding like, I don't know of anybody who says that. And I'm like, well, I guess we're just lucky then, because they've been incredibly kind and supportive and trusting, like remarkably trusting for two people that are both new at their jobs, right? They haven't hovered in a way that many other boards might. They just always want us to know that they're there if we need them, and that's great. And then lastly, my niece and my nephew, who ground me whenever I need to be grounded. I just look at them and they say something ridiculous and they laugh and I kiss them and the world is recalibrated. So that's nice.
Folks are incredible. And can the folks at home know who's on your board if it's only two people, or should we not say?
Oh yeah, we can let you guys.
Yeah.
So we have 6 people on our board. We're currently looking for board members. So if you're a really cool person, talk to us. Our board chair,
I'm not a cool person.
Dale Yim. So rad. They're all so rad. Our vice chair is Justin Poirier. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correct.
Yep.
Our secretary is Signe Lynch. And our 3 board members are Alejandra Nunez, Isaac Thomas, and Kathy Gray.
And they're all lovely.
Big
Honestly.
ups for them.
Ooh.
All right.
Definitely.
We have another message from y'all from Mercy. Here we are. Oh, that's not right. Ray again. Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Oh no.
Hey Tanisha. Hello, Lisa. Welcome. I don't know why I said welcome, but hey. I just wanted to take a minute to thank both of you and commend both of you for the tremendous work that you've done in your time at Cahoots Theatre. I know I've directly benefited from being part of Hot House, but also seeing what you've done in this time period of great uncertainty, in this time period where people are feeling the negative aspect of being isolated for so long, or seeing people that they love suffer, or potentially even deal with lifelong complications or lose their jobs, how much work the two of you have put into creating communities, creating opportunities for people to discuss how they feel, what the experience is like, finding ways of connecting, I think is extraordinary for so many reasons, because it's what theater really should be about. And it's nice to see theater reaching out in a way that I don't think has ever really happened before. I'm excited to see what will come from this in terms of what the next generation of writers will create, or what the next generation of people involved in theater will create by having these opportunities of reaching out, connecting, maybe perhaps collaborating, and finding other wonderful pieces that they create together. I also think on a worldly level, it's important for people to feel connected. So for all that you've done in these bizarre, hard, perilous times, I thank both of you. I commend both of you. I look forward to actually seeing you in person, both of you. And I want to congratulate you. Take care. Happy holidays. All the best. Much love.
Mercy.
Oh my God, you two.
What do you mean? Us all. Only love. Only love. All right. So kind of picking up a little bit on Mercy's thoughts on kind of intergenerational legacy, I suppose, and the importance of kind of knowing what came before, knowing what's happening now, what might come next. I really kind of want to pick back up on the thread of how you both started the year together. Well, solo really, and then together, and then now forward into forever, hopefully. So I was wondering a little bit about kind of what it was like to enter into these new positions during this time, obviously, without having a direct, tangible predecessor to kind of help with that transition directly, and kind of figuring out what is it like to build a partnership of this kind in a pandemic over Zoom. And I'm really more keen to figure out what felt good, because I know that there are challenges, but I'm also really, your partnership is really something that I have no words for besides kind of big old heart eyes. So I'd like to, I'd love to know more, really.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can I need some time to like formulate my thoughts, but the one thing that I do want to say is when I spoke to Tanisha during, it was in my formal interview. It was like a just chat. And Tanisha, you said like you wanted to have like a partnership that was like a partnership. It makes sense, and there's like a vibe, and everything's just jiving. And I was like, I want to be that person. I want to be that person with you. And so like to hear Wallace, you say what you just said is like very like, it makes my heart pitter patter. So thanks. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you need to start because you started by yourself.
Gosh. Yeah, I mean, okay, so if we're looking at 2020, I came into 2020 3 months in to my job, working essentially by myself, although thank God I had the help of two, you know what, I shouldn't say essentially by myself in leadership, but with the help of two amazing people, Sahar Bojeti and Amanda Lynn. And without them, it would have been a disaster. I mean, they worked very part-time, but they were able to help, and they were able to answer some questions because they had both been working there off and on prior to me. But in terms of leadership, I came in with no co-leader, no institutional memory of how the company was run. And that was really hard. I mean, it was scary because I constantly found myself having to do these dives into hard drives to try and find answers to things and piece things together because I couldn't just turn to someone and ask a question, or I had to be reaching out to the board, but didn't want to have to ask the board more than like 3 questions a week. And another situation that made it hard for me was that the person that I likely would have asked was going through her own situation, becoming the new AD of Theatre Passe Muraille. So I didn't feel that I wanted to be bothering her with a lot of questions either. So it was hard, and I'm really grateful to Amanda and Sahar and to the board for being able to make that first quarter manageable. And then coming into January, you know, it felt a bit better, because I was really, I'll say, paralyzed for the first quarter. Paralyzed with not knowing if what I wanted to do, if the things I were thinking were the right things, and also very afraid of changing anything. You know, when you start with a company that has had an AD that was as beloved as Marjorie was and did as good a job as Marjorie did, and established so many new initiatives, you think to yourself, what is my leeway to change anything? And what is the potential cost of changing anything? So I was really kind of afraid to do anything different. And then one day I called Philip and I told him that I was feeling this kind of paralysis. And I mentioned this back in the Black Magic panel. He just said to me one thing. He said, "Do you think that Marjorie is sitting at her new desk right now trying to be Andy McKim?" And I was like, right. And that was it. That knocked a wall down for me. And suddenly I was like, I don't need to mimic her. I don't need to be her. She's being her somewhere else and doing it brilliantly as only she can. And I have to be myself as only I can, you know? And I have to trust that the board chose me because that's what they want. And then, so then I felt a lot better, like in January. And I'm like, okay, got some stuff planned. We're going to do this and we're going to do this. And I was thinking about this new mentorship program. And as I said, the contact lenses, which was going to have people having conversations with just their community members, the audiences for which their pieces were intended. And then suddenly, you know, late February, we start hearing about this thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's all right. And then, you know, by March 10th and 11th, I was already taking cabs and I knew this is not going to be good. I was scared of the TTC. I was hearing stories. And on the 13th, it all just came to a screeching halt. And then that thing about, okay, working from home in a pandemic, no co-leader, what do I do? And I think, you know, the conversation that I had with Philip about, you know, be you, do the best you, and just coming back to the Cahoots mandate was really, really helpful, because I immediately went into the mode of, I wrote a letter to our community. I wrote a letter called Glorious, a love letter, about the times that we were in and what I wanted. I mean, that came a little bit later, but I also wrote a letter, like an introductory letter, just to the community, saying what I wanted, who I was, what I was hoping to achieve together. I didn't want there to be that sense of I'm on the other side of a door that's like an impenetrable door, because a lot of ADs feel that way. And so I just started reaching out and just talking to people and talking to artists and saying, you know, you can email me anytime, you can call me anytime. And then we started interviewing, and then we met Lisa, because we had done a round of interviews in late 2019 that had yielded nobody. So when Lisa applied, it was a godsend. No, it was. It really was. Yeah. Okay, you talk now.
Okay. What was the question? It was about coming into this role?
Yeah, just how the partner, I more like, you know, how the partnership developed, emerged.
Yeah, I didn't answer that. You can answer that, sorry.
Sure, okay. Well, let me answer like me coming in, because like I was in the corporate world before this, and it was weird and like terrible, as corporate world usually is. That's just my experience, whatever. And so
What? That's so unique. What?
I know, groundbreaking. But I came in. I mean, I applied to the position for like multitude of reasons, but like knowing like Tanisha's work, I was like, I'm a fan. I like what she's doing. I see what she's doing. I don't know her, but like I'm down. So, but it was weird. It was so weird, and I wasn't frightened, but I was nervous because we weren't producing theater, and as a managing producer, I was like, well, what am I going to be producing if it's not theater? And it was a phone conversation that Tanisha called me up to like welcome me to the company that like solidified it all, like late April, being like, these are some plans, how are you doing, let's talk about, you know, where we're going. And I mean, there was like so many administrative things in the company that were not accessible to us because we were working from home, that I just got really frustrated by. And I was like, I'm going to change it. I don't care what was historically done in the past. So I guess it's kind of a little bit different from what Tanisha's talking about, of like what to change. I wanted to change everything administratively. And it was great that Tanisha felt the same way and the board was behind us. And I was excited because I've not in my corporate job before, but in other arts positions, I would see companies working in a way, I'm like, I want to change it, but I can't because I'm not in a leadership position. You know, you could always recommend something, but where does it normally go? So the fact that there was such support from everyone on my team to just do it was exciting. And so I think it was just about giving access to us, and the fact that Tanisha and the board was so behind that, seeing that access is something that we give to our communities and our artists, why don't we give it to ourselves? To me, that's how I see our foundation of the beginning of our partnership happens. But I'm just so grateful. I'm like so grateful for our phone conversations, Tanisha. Like, you're like, can I call you? Or I'm like, can I talk to you for a quick sec? Like, those are like the grounding moments of my week. And like I know it would be so different working in our office together every day, but we don't have that right now. And it seems strange because I do go into the office by myself. But like the phone conversations that we have, just to talk, just to vent, just to plan, to strategize, to dream, it's like, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. So,
Well,
yeah. But I will, yeah, like, don't just shrug it off, Tanisha. You're great. You're really great. But I will say it was like, it was so super hard, even though I was so ready to change a whole bunch of things. I was coming in with like such a, like, I'm green. Like, I'm so green. I'm wearing green. But like, I'm so new to my experience. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm just so green to doing what I'm doing that it was hard not to have somebody train me in my position. Like, yeah, of course the board was amazing and they helped me and mentored me so much, and they continue to, and I hope that they still continue to in the coming years. But it was a little paralyzing not to, you know, have a little bit of training, a little bit of a, this is the terrain that you're operating in. It was really like figuring it out for like myself in regards to like the financial management side. And that's something that, you know, artists don't normally talk about. And because of my background as an artist, I'm like, ooh, interesting, like finances, math. But, you know, I think something that I'm not going to speak for Tanisha, but for me, I think historically, Cahoots has a very the past leaders have set us up in a really nice way, you know. I think they've left us something that, like, yeah, we can build something, we can continue to grow. And so the fact that we do have these building blocks to continue to go and grow and develop is really something I'm grateful for. I don't have to reinvent the wheel completely. But yeah. I don't know if that answered the question at all.
I just want to add to that I think that the moment that really excited me was when I realized that Lisa also wanted to grow the company, because before Lisa left, Cahoots had a general manager that had actually felt that the company was maybe taking on too much and that the company needed to maybe think about like reducing its scope. And I had the total opposite thing. I wanted to come in and do more. So when Lisa came in and I was like, I think I want to do more. And she was like, hell yeah. That the relief of that was so amazing, because I was like, oh my God, she gets me. She gets it. She's not afraid to think a little bigger. And that was... I mean,
I'm always afraid, Tanisha. I just want you to know I'm always afraid. There's always a little bit of fear.
But I mean, not fear that ever stops you, you know, like fear that puts a fire in your belly, fear, you know, which is good. And I really appreciate the fact that we both refused to believe that Cahoots was everything that it could be already.
Yeah.
Right. We knew that there was more. And I so appreciate the fact that you felt the same way.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love working with you, Tanisha. I can't. I've had some like great experiences in the past, but like, Tanisha, you're the top there. You're the top.
We have to make it to the end of this.
And we do.
Otherwise,
I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. And we weren't, I mean, you know, Lisa wasn't a done deal. Lisa wasn't a given. I mean, we had a lot that we had to talk about in terms of bringing in a new leader and who was that person going to be, and how many years of financial experience and managerial experience did they have to have. And, you know, we really talked about it because Lisa was a little bit greener, but she had hunger, and she was super smart, and she had enough of a background that we thought she is someone who can take a ball and run and learn quickly and do really great things. And she had an HR background, and we just, you know, we talked a lot about whether we were going to bring in a leader that was not BIPOC into the company, and really, you know, thought about that. But at the end of the day, I was like, I want a company where the people involved are either us or deeply aspiring allies. And that's what Lisa is. She is so supportive, you know, and she wants the best for artists who have not been given the opportunities that they deserve. And I love her for it. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Thanks.
It's true. Yeah.
Jordan, do you want to share another surprise?
Another surprise?
I don't know.
Another surprise?
What?
I was just wondering if our studio audience wants another surprise. Yeah, of course, I'll share another surprise.
Yeah, come on, studio audience, come forward.
Boy. So this next surprise is from Luke. There you go.
What up? Luke Reese here. Hello, Lisa and Tanisha. Congratulations on your first full year together. What a year to start running a company together. You know, you handled it so well, and Cahoots is in great hands. And I know that this coming year, you'll be able to explore that relationship and also just like what Cahoots puts out to the audiences even more. maybe even live in-person stuff. And I can't wait for it. I feel like there's still so much to be unleashed between the two of you, and I'm excited to see what happens. So all the best in 2021, and thanks for having me a part of the Hot House and Liftoffs as well. It's been a blast so far. Get it? Because Liftoff has been a blast. Anyways, congrats on the first year. All the best the next one. Can't wait to see what y'all do. Lots of love.
Luke Reese.
You talk about fierce people. That is a fierce human being right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to take a moment and read a page from the book that I'm reading. That feels appropriate.
Okay. Now I'm saying Mercy's name and it makes me want to cry again. Okay.
All right. Okay. So this is Toni Morrison. I'll preface. You will be in positions that matter. Positions in which you can decide the nature and quality of other people's lives. Your errors may be irrevocable. So when you enter those places of trust or power, dream a little before you think, so that your thoughts, your solutions, your directions, your choices about who lives and who doesn't, who flourishes and who doesn't, will be worth the very sacred life you have chosen to live. You are not helpless, you are not heartless, and you have time. Dream a little before you think. Lisa, you spoke about the importance of dreaming, and I'm curious from your more managerial role, two-part question. One, what does dreaming look like in your role? And two, what is it like to dream with Tanisha?
Ooh. What does it look like to dream in my role? I mean, it's funny because you know, being a managing producer, being a person in my position, I mean, coming into it, I was always like, oh, so many numbers, like the math. And it's weird. It's weird because I never thought, being an artist, going to theater school, it was like, what do numbers have to mean? What does looking at something, like, what does looking at something in a non-artistic role look like, and how can that be exciting or creative? And I think, like, it truly starts with, like, looking at the numbers, looking at the plans and the strategies, and, like, looking at what we have, and, like, just testing the limits. And it's all about just planning in different ways. It's about, like, testing and just being a little risky. I really like my spreadsheets, so it's always different variations of budgets and policies and contracts. Like, what could a contract look like? Oh, it could look like this, or it could look like this. But I mean, it's something that I've always thought about, like, in the last, like, 3-ish years. When I was doing my internship at Generator, I was working closely with Christina Lemieux, and I was like, oh, I am obsessed with graphs, Tanisha. Thank you for that comment. But so at Generator with Christina, they have the artist producer training program. I wasn't in it. I was just parallel to it in my internship. And, like, from working at a Generator and working alongside those artists and those companies, there's something so inherently creative about producing. I don't know how to explain it anymore because I feel like I just do it now. But it's like, you have to make things happen. And so you have to dream it. You have to try different things and learn from your mistakes. And I think that's inherently creative and full of dreamlike things. So it's hard, and it's hard to think of like when I was in theater school acting and creating, because I never thought that I was going to be a producer or be interested in like managing anything like this at all. So I always try to think about how would I tell a young artist or a young arts leader like how to be creative and dream in this role. I think it's like, I would say it's doing what you want to do. Like, what do you want to do? Sahar said this in her Convo Cahoots installment last night of like, she just wants to be able to do what she wants to do. And as a producer, it's like, yeah, I don't want to be limited by not having enough financial resources. I don't want to be limited by like, you know, schedules and contracts and stuff. Like, so how can we make these systems, how can we work outside of these systems, and how can we build new systems? So yeah, that's something on how to dream. A budget is another kind of story. That's true, Tanisha. Budget is another kind of story. But I think being savvy with your budget is a huge skill, and like being and using those resources, being resourceful. I've been called a raccoon in my life. And I never took it as a as an insult, because raccoons are resourceful. And I think whatever small amount of resources you have, non-monetary or monetary, I think you can do a long way. But I am grateful that at Cahoots we have a good chunk of a nice resources. What does it look like dreaming with Tanisha? Lots of long phone calls. lots of emails, lots of text messages. Lots of phone calls where Tanisha will be like, I'm thinking of this, and I'm like, strategically that doesn't seem wise. But like, it's conversations.
That is not how it goes.
Yeah, it is. That is exactly how it goes.
Don't listen to Lisa.
How does it go, Tanisha?
I'm thinking of this strategically. That doesn't seem wise. It's not how it usually goes.
How does it usually go? It
usually goes, I have an idea. And you're like, okay. And then I tell you, and then there's a moment of silence.
Yeah.
And then you're like, usually, yeah, I like it.
Okay, no, yes. When things are like, yes, when it makes sense in my mind. But when things don't make sense in my mind, there's still a silence. There's still that, okay.
True.
And then I give an opinion of like,
you ask me questions. You ask me good questions.
I do. I guess I do. Yeah, it's a lot of questions, and it's a lot of digging, I find. But both of us, you know,
yeah.
It's like, because you ask really important questions too that I never think of, and I'm like, I should be thinking of that because I need to look at the budget. So yeah, it's like it's like as if, you know, when you're dreaming and you're like, oh, that was a bad dream, or like that was a scary dream. Literally, it's having a partner along for the ride. It's great. So yeah.
Tanisha, how early into an idea do you bring it to Lisa? Like, is this I have a 3 a.m. idea and it's first call is Lisa, or do you plan it out? What does that look like?
Oh, that's a good question. It depends on how confident I am about the idea, and whether I think it's a Cahoots idea, you know, because I get lots of creative ideas that are Tanisha ideas, and I get ideas that are Cahoots ideas. And if I have an idea that I'm really excited about and it's something that I want to implement in not a long period of time, I'll bring it to Lisa. I mean, I've had ideas where I call you and I'm like, okay, I just thought of something 5 minutes ago. But I also will bring you things that I've been sitting on for weeks, making sure that I want to bring them to you. But yeah, usually if I'm excited about something and I'm like, no, this feels right, this is a Cahoots initiative, I will bring it to Lisa pretty fast. to see, first of all, to gauge and see if her excitement is the same. Like, is she feeling it? If she's not, then I might stop and reconsider, okay, why is it exciting me and not her? But usually I bring it formed enough that I think she can understand what it is that I'm envisioning, so that she's not doing a lot of guessing or trying to decipher too much.
Yeah, Tanisha, you're super clear when you bring things to me. It's like you lay it out and I see the picture. I'm like,
Thank you.
Yeah. It's hard. It is hard to say no to you sometimes, but like that's why we have conversations.
Should I don't know how to feel about that.
No, it's good. It's good because you're persuasive.
Okay. As long as I'm not like scary.
No. Oh my God.
I've been called that before.
I know you've been called scary and intimidating, and I don't get it. But alas.
Hurt my heart.
Not a you problem. That sounds like someone else's problem.
That's a them problem.
For real.
Yeah.
Tanisha, following up on that, what does a Cahoots idea look like?
Oh gosh, a Cahoots idea is an idea that immediately feels like it is going to serve our mandate. So if I ask myself, is this something that is going to enrich, uplift, provide opportunities to the people that we are tasked with providing opportunities to, then it's a Cahoots idea. If it's an idea that excites me, if I think this is new, this is different, the company hasn't done this before, if I think it's financially feasible, then it's a Cahoots idea. But more than anything, if I see how it has a potential impact on the lives of our artists in our community, and I think it's exciting, and I think that it's not being done elsewhere, then I get really excited about it.
Yeah. Those are the ideas I get really excited about. And I'm like, nobody's doing that.
Well, I mean, I think one of the Cahoots ideas this year was recommended readings, which I was kind of shocked that no one had done. So, as you know, every year the recommender grants happen. The OAC has their recommender grants that aspiring playwrights can apply for certain amounts of money to sustain them as they write a new work or develop a work. And every year, all of these theater companies give out recommender grants. But then often you don't hear about those plays ever again, or those theater companies don't continue developing those artists. And so one day I just had an idea and I was like, well, what if we actually took the money, took those artists that we gave money to and continue to feature them somehow. And so I came up with the idea of creating a script repository so that the scripts that we gave money to help fund could actually be accessible on the internet to directors and ADs interested in new work. So it's like, these are the scripts that Cahoots actually helped to fund last year, and here you can go and find them. As opposed to, we gave some people some money and they're off somewhere and you'll never see their scripts again. So I know that we can't produce them all, but I can let them be findable and visible to other people who may be able to help further develop them.
Thinking about other ideas that you have that nobody else seems to have, is I was on a call earlier this year with a student from a school that I don't teach at. And she was talking about how she really wanted a space where she could be with other BIPOC students from across Canada. And then along came Peppercorn.
Pepperpot, yeah.
Pepperpot. Oh my gosh.
Although Peppercorn is awesome.
We'll let you talk.
Pepperpot is a Tanisha idea that became a Cahoots idea. Pepperpot has been on my mind since the first day I started teaching at George Brown, and saw the reality of the kids of color feeling so isolated, and not isolated because people were being mean to them. Like often, there's this idea that something has to be really overt for it to exist. No, I mean, they were going to school, they had friends, they had lovely exchanges with teachers, but they were spending every day in this incredibly Eurocentric framework where they were constantly being asked to walk and live and breathe in that world. And they didn't have friends that understood their experience, and they didn't see their experience in any of the curriculum, and they didn't see their experience in any of the teachers. And it was very, very painful. And they were like, why am I here? Like, am I here as a token? Am I here because you really want me here? Because if I'm here because you really want me here, there's nothing in the way that this has been set up to indicate that you want me here. So I'm really lost. And so I wanted to have a monthly party for theater school students of color in the GTA. And that was the idea, that we were going to have a party every month at Cahoots. Enter COVID. And I'm like, damn, can't do that. But suddenly, holy crap, we can do this on Zoom nationwide now. And so that became super exciting. And so we had our first pepper pot in November, and it was incredible. Like, you know, we had students show up from Calgary to St. John's, and it was supposed to be from 8:30 to 11 Eastern time. And we logged off of Zoom at 1:45 a.m.
Wow.
because people didn't want to leave.
Mm.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We're having another one on December 28th to drop in a nice little bit of socializing between Christmas and New Year's. So if you're a BIPOC theater student, December 28th on Zoom, it'll be on our Cahoots Facebook page. Come to Pepper Pot.
I'm so happy that it became a Cahoots idea. So thank you for that.
You too. You too.
And with another thanking, we have Angela. I didn't make a mistake that time. That time I might have forgot to share audio. So I guess that is a mistake. Mistake.
Hi, Tanisha and Lisa. I just want to say congratulations on making it through this year. It was a difficult year, but you both did such an amazing job centering artists in your work, making sure that we feel supported, and also having the difficult conversations that we really need to be having at this moment. And I am just in awe and inspired and very, very grateful for your work. And I am so excited to see what comes up in the future. I am so, so proud to be in Cahoots with both of you. And thank you so much for introducing me to such an incredible group of artists who inspire me with their work. And I am so, so excited to see what happens in the future and all the things that both of you are going to accomplish.
Angela. All right.
Oh, so beautiful.
Okay, to speak to a little bit of the difficulties, a little bit. But remember, there's like multiple facets to all the words. So I'll read what I have here. So failure has been a kind of key character this year, and we've had to experience again and again and again as it takes center stage. So that's to say that lots has been canceled, plans have had to kind of be put aside or rearranged. And, you know, it would be kind of irresponsible for me to not acknowledge that failure, whilst it does affect everyone, it's landed with a particular weight upon Black folks, Indigenous folks, and folks of color. And seeing that weight countered with kind of the activistic labor of Cahoots has been really, really important to see. This visibility is, I can't overstate how important it is. So with Pepper Pot, with Envy, with Small Change, to name a very few of the initiatives, it kind of got me thinking, if you'll allow me this tangent, about something my research supervisor talks about in her book. So her name's Professor Rosalind Hampton, and her book, it's called Black Racialization and Resistance at an Elite University. And she talks about the importance of making time for activism, and then in turn finding the timing of activism. And I feel that speaks really, really strongly to something that you've espoused in a previous conversation, Tanisha, and what I've talked with you about even briefly tonight, Lisa, about making space and time for nuance, which may be another word for activism. I'm not sure, but there's something about those threads that share a connection. So I'm wondering if you both can speak a little bit to kind of how do you make space and time for nuance in this work?
All right. Yeah. Being a leader in a company is difficult, but it's a privilege. It's such a privilege. And I think the nuance comes from listening and having those difficult conversations, but then prioritizing. And this is something that Tanisha and I literally just talked about today, of our own self-care, because we're humans too. Like we need to take care of ourselves before we do the activism, have those conversations, make the thing happen. Oh, and it's hard. It's so hard because as a person, just a human, I'm like, I need to grind. I need to do the work all the time. And that's not healthy. That's not beneficial. And I personally don't retain anything that I do after that. So yeah, the nuance comes from reflection and those quiet moments, because that's when you get to ask yourself, okay, how did I fail? What's the mistake here? How can I learn from this? How can we move forward? Can we move forward? Should we build something else? And it ties back to the dreams. What are we dreaming of the future to look like? I think if there's no creativity and there's no dreaming in that, then I think the nuance needs to have that energy, that drive, that force. Yeah. I like that. I've never heard nuance being in part with activism, but that's so true. Thank you for that. Oh my God.
No, it's Tanisha. Thank y'all. No credit here.
Gosh, yeah. It's okay. I'm just collecting my thoughts. We're in very emotionally charged times. People are very tired. People are very pained. People are traumatized. People are just scared. There's a lot that people are holding in terms of an emotional range right now. So I think that when you take that reality that comes with COVID, and you add that to being the leaders of a company for marginalized people, you end up in a space where you are carrying the weight and the responsibility to look after people that are already often suffering at a time of heightened suffering. And that is really hard, because you want to make sure that you get it as right as possible, whatever that means. And right isn't necessarily the same to two different people. And so it's constantly thinking about the decisions that you make and the words that you use, and every conversation that you have, and every Facebook post and every phone call. Did I get that right? Was that helpful? Did that hurt anybody? Is there any conceivable way that could be construed in a way that's going to hurt somebody. That is, I mean, that is part of my everyday. And it's hard because, you know, there are times when you feel like, okay, that really worked. And then there may be random times when you are told that something was hurtful and you're like, oh my God, like that is so the last thing that I wanted. And then you have to deal with it because we're people and we have to contemplate what we've done and try and amend. But it's a difficult thing because we are dealing with a lot of artists and a lot of communities that have gotten the short end of the stick for so long, you know, that they're carrying residue. And and they come to Cahoots as the company that understands and the company that sees them and the company that will get it. And so I feel very little room to air. I really do. And especially in a time when I think that nuance is not part of the conversation. I think that we are in a time where people are so, they have their points of view and they have their corners, and that middle kind of murky conversation where things are sort of right, sort of wrong, sort of problematic, sort of okay, sort of like there's so many things that are so complex, and complexity is not something that a lot of people seem to have time for, you know? I'm very big on complexity. I'm not big on complication, but I'm big on complexity, and complexity is innate. Like life and situations are complex. This desire that we have to immediately decide, I don't know, it's hard. It's a very, they're tough waters to navigate, and I feel honored to be doing it, and I feel, you know, proud to be doing it with Lisa, but I'm not going to pretend that there aren't days where it isn't, where it doesn't weigh very heavily on my chest to be wondering, is everybody feeling seen today? Is everybody feeling heard today? Have I been good to Black people, Indigenous people, disabled people, deaf people, and trans people today? Like that, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I appreciate it. I appreciate this company for making that their focus, and I love it. But I'm not gonna pretend that it's not hard.
I read something earlier today that was like, everyone needs more than anyone can give right now. And I feel like you both just give so much. Just following the thread of this conversation, and in our next question, which missteps do you feel are forgivable or not forgivable?
Oh my God.
Wait till you hear the rest of the questions. Careful now.
Is it too big? Okay. How do we approach navigating forgiveness in a period where the margin of error is quite strict? When is it necessary to call someone out? What steps should we take before calling someone out? And what does restorative justice look like in our community? Essentially, this is all one long question to ask. When do we play Daveed Digg singing "Never Gonna Be President" now?
Tasha?
Lisa.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually, like, I'm thinking about this, but I need to hear it again.
All right. What steps are forgivable? What missteps are forgivable? How does one navigate forgiveness during a period of time where the margin of error is quite strict and immovable, seemingly? When is it necessary to call someone out? And what steps should we take before we call someone out? What does restorative justice look like in our community right now?
Well, I'm not a big fan of calling people out before you've attended to call them in. So I think that if someone has done something that is hurtful, you know, that can scar people, I think the first thing that you want to do is reach out, let them know that this has been the case, and try to bring them into a conversation where the point of the conversation is to explain the hurt that was done, find out what was going on in their minds when it happened, find out where they may have misunderstood or may have had false assumptions that led them to act in that way, and then have them acknowledge the harm done and seek to make some sort of restitution for it. And then a commitment to try to never inflict that again. That's what I would love to see. What I'm not a big fan of is someone does something problematic and the next day they're being destroyed on every possible platform, because I don't know how that heals anything. Right? I think that we end up making pariahs out of a lot of people. And so then what does that mean? Like, are we throwing people out now? I don't know what that means. I think that, you know, if people have done something so painful and egregious, and they've done it, first of all, maliciously, then I think that's a different conversation. Like, I don't need to spend time trying to make friends with a cruel person. If people have done something, you know, genuinely out of ignorance because they don't have the tools and the knowledge to know better, then I think you can try and give them that knowledge and then see how receptive they are to it. But I do believe, and not everybody feels this way, I do believe that there is some weight to people's intentions. I think that impact always outweighs intention, but the idea that intention means nothing, I don't think is true. I think if somebody does something accidentally and there was genuinely no cause for harm, no desire for harm, I'm not going to approach that person the same way as someone who meant to hurt somebody. Like, I just don't see why I would do that. But I think that we've come to a place now, because of the rise and the strength and the power of anti-oppression movements, which I love, where I think that some of that energy is being used to do these immediate cancellations of people. And some of those people could possibly change and evolve and restore themselves and actually do possibly a lot of good based on the lessons learned, if those lessons were allowed to be learned. But we're not always giving people the chance to learn those lessons. And so that's unfortunate. But yeah, where I see arrogance and cruelty and a feeling of I don't have anything to learn, I don't have time for those people. Like, zero time for those people. They're voted off the island. But when I feel that somebody is salvageable, I want to salvage them. That's me.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Tanisha just said, and I think that's something that, like, we instill in our leadership with whatever program that, like, we're running. I also find that, like, every situation is like a one size fits one. Like, I come from an HR background where it's like every situation has a prepackaged way of handling things. But that's not the case, because everyone's so different. Everyone has different experiences, and harm is vastly different from person to person and group to group. So it's like, you know, setting it up in a way to address the harm that was caused in various ways. I mean, as a white woman, I have no place to tell someone on how they can handle what they're going through, especially if I'm the one who's caused harm. So it's like, I see restorative justice as this flexible, malleable thing that we can play with within community and build a stronger community. I also think, you know, just going forward, and this is how it helps me a lot in this position and in other areas of my life, is that everyone is capable of harm, no matter to what degree. So we're all going to make mistakes. And though it feels like we can't make mistakes, we can't make errors, it's inevitable. Like, it's gonna happen. So, like, I need to take that pressure off myself, because I know I'm going to make a mistake. And sometimes, like these past couple weeks, I'm like, you know what? I'm so grateful for every single mistake I've made every single day, because I get to go forward and build something new. So it's complicated. It is. It's without a doubt complicated. But I think the thing is, it's more complex. And with Tanisha, I am so for complexity than complicity. So yeah.
Complexity over complicity is definitely good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's complicated for a lot of reasons. I mean, I'm just being really real right now. It's complicated at our company because we have one Black and one white leader. What people may expect from Lisa and what they may expect from me may not be the same thing. Like there's just so much. And also I think if you know people and you know what people want to do and the good that they want to do, and they mess up at some point, what do you do in that moment, right? Like, I think you have to center the person who's been harmed. I think you have to put their pain at the center and really be like, how can we hold you up and hear you, but also find a way to realize that on the other side of this is also a human being, and what do we need to do on that end as well. But a perfect example, I mean, if something were to happen where somebody felt that they were aggrieved by Lisa, like, and they were like, Lisa needs to go, I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because you can't have a moment. I have issues when moments are allowed to define everything that preceded them, you know? And I think that you have to say, okay, someone might have really messed up in a certain way. And it could be me, like, it doesn't have to be Lisa, it could be me, it could be a board member. But does that negate all of the good and all of the attempted good? And can we give this person a chance to atone, to learn and atone, and to genuinely give to the person that was hurt in a way that makes that person feel that they've been heard and that a lesson has been learned, you know? And I will always opt to do that if possible. There may be extreme cases where someone just has to go because they've gone, it's beyond the pale what they've done, and of course. But I think that we tend to leap to that too fast, too often.
I think a part of it is that forgiveness is so hard. Like, I find the first thing that I leap to is, all right, canceled, but it's hard. It's a whole step to love and forgive.
And forgiveness doesn't mean acting like that person's the best. I think that we need to redefine forgiveness. It's not about, oh, you hurt me and now I've forgotten about that and you are awesome. It's more like, okay, this thing happened. It was unfortunate. It was hurtful. You're a flawed person. You did this thing. We've tried to talk it through and make you aware of what you've done. You've atoned for what you've done. I'm still hurt. But I'm understanding at this point that what happened was what was going to happen at that time because of where you were on your evolutionary journey. So at that point, that was all you knew how to do. I mean, Maya Angelou says, you know, you did then what you knew how to do, and when you did better, you know better. When you knew better, you did better. And that's one of my favorite sayings, because the things that I did at, 25 and the things that I do at 35 and 40 are not the same things. I did what I knew how to do when I was 18. When I was 30, I did what I knew how to do at 30. And so I think there has to be room for that. At the same time, there has to be a backbone and strength and absolute understanding of what is not tolerable and what has to be responded to in a forceful, clear, decisive way to protect people from repeated harm.
I mean, everything that you're saying is the way to create safer spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I think there is something, I mean, like, Safer space. What is a safe space? What is this? I have this great,
safe spaces. I believe in safer spaces. And when I say safer spaces, I mean, I want Cahoots to be safer than being out on the street. I want Cahoots to be safer than being in some random place. But no place is going to be completely safe because humans are in those places and humans are fallible. So no place can be completely safe. And also when you're making art, you're never in totally safe space. So you want to be in a space where things can kind of blow up a bit, but it's going to be okay. You know that people are going to have each other's backs and help each other, and no one is going to leave damaged. That's what you want. But yeah, I mean, we are all individuals carrying stuff, and we bring stuff into every rehearsal room, whether or not we say we've left it at the door.
Not realistic.
And so that means that there is always potential for injury in the room, emotional injury, always.
Me too. So many things I wish I'm glad we have this recorded because I will be watching it back.
I'll be taking notes the next time.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, I don't want to be clacking. I wonder, Jordan, should we read from Susan before we kind of get into those final points, perhaps? Just because I'm conscious of time, perhaps.
Yeah, of course. So our last surprise is not a video surprise. Somebody wrote in a message, and so Wallace and I are just gonna read that message for you.
So this is from the beloved Susan. The beloved. So she's got two kind of separate chunks for both of you. So for Lisa, I'm speaking as if I'm Susan. So Susan, forgive me, I won't do it justice, but my heart is holding you very firmly. So to Lisa, I haven't met you yet, but you look like a super cool, super trendy, very chic person. I've heard nothing but praise for the amount of work you do, as well as being super nice. I'm so happy you've teamed up with Tanisha and Cahoots. I think the work you do is so hard, especially during a pandemic. And I know that you and your team have done nothing but keep artists sane during these times. Hopefully one of these days I can see you in action. Thank you for everything you do.
To Tanisha, I've said so many things to you, opened my heart and soul, and the fact that you still talk to me is amazing. I was so happy for you when you got this position. I knew you were going to do amazing things with Cahoots. It's sad that everything shut down for your first year as AD, but what constantly amazes and inspires me is that you and Lisa have not stopped working during these times. You've actually opened more spaces, more doors, more programs to welcome everyone in. I love all the programs, workshops, and forums that you have created. You have listened, truly listened to what all these artists needs. How rare is that for someone in your position? You have only resided for 1 year, but you've created so much community. I can't wait to see what else you do. I know that it'll blow my mind, and it all comes from a place with truth and authenticity, which is also so rare for someone in your position. Thank you for all you do, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Congrats to you and Lisa for surviving and thriving.
Oh, Susan, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna run away for 1 second, like literally 30 seconds, just because my charger, I need it. My computer is on 3%. So I'm not gonna, I can still hear you. Keep talking.
Okay.
All right.
She pulled the intermission. She did it.
You pulled an intermission. We were joking about this before.
It's all right. All right, ask the question. Ask the question.
I have charger in hand. I'm coming back.
All right, I'm putting a question into the world.
Okay.
All right. So Wallace and I reached out to Instagram and we asked Instagram. Today I figured out it was my first time ever posting a question on Instagram, that little thing that you can post a question and people send you answers.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Next marketing executive, I don't know. We asked, what change do you hope to see in theater in 2021? And I specified, I said, please don't make the answer being in person. And the first answer I got was, I hope for it to be in person.
People play too much.
Oh, humans.
I love social media.
So good. So the other answers were more of a unity, community, less pockets, more comedy, life is hard right now, low admission, free admission for young people. Then I got the answer, in person again. And then more diversity on boards and executive leadership. And so I think probably our final question to you is, what are you hopeful for in 2021?
Oh my God, so much. For theater to be in person.
Yes, Lisa!
All right.
But more. I'm so excited for like more mentorship opportunities that Cahoots will just inevitably have, from Tanisha's mind to fruition. But yeah, I'm just so excited to. It's funny because like we're going on a 3-week like break from Cahoots. So it's funny to say like I'm excited for more work, but I am like I'm excited to come back revitalized and rejuvenated as if it's like a skincare commercial. Just to like engage and to, you know, continue to build something that not only I'm proud of, but our community is like, yeah, I want to watch. I want to be involved. I'm excited to laugh. I feel like I haven't laughed a lot this year because I've been crying over spreadsheets. But yeah, like I'm excited to. I mean, I'm not going to start seeing friends anytime soon in person, but you know, just building a stronger, more resilient community. Yeah.
On a really personal note, I want to give Lisa a hug because like we've never touched.
I shook your hand one time.
Oh, since COVID. We haven't touched since COVID.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't touched since you've been in this position.
Yes.
So that would be nice because we've shared so much. I would love to see theater be more about connection and less about commodification. I look at so many companies and across North America that have still been so panicked by the idea of we have to make a product, we have to make a product, we have to make a product. And instead of just stopping to breathe and saying, maybe this time is telling us something different. Like maybe the massive shift that we are in is telling us, no, this is not production time. This is something else. This is reassessment time. This is really looking at what is the point of us? Why are we here? And when we can gather again, how is it going to be different? It's not just going to be in person. How are the stories that we're telling going to matter more? How is making theater that takes people's hearts in your hands going to matter more? And how are people going to use positions of leadership in a way that is not about masturbatory ego stroking? Because I think that right now there are a lot of people, like I talk to young people who want to be ADs and I'm like, why? Because the title sounds glamorous, because you think there's money, because you think like there's prestige, like why? And then a lot of them aren't sure. And so I want theater to be about people with vision and heart and desire to change the world in whatever little ways they can, telling stories that open people up and make people question how we can do better as a species. And if we can do that, I will be a very, very happy person. But it's not just about ticket prices and bums and seats and the next big hit anymore for me. I mean, it never was, but it's about how do we use this time and the space that we spend in these rooms together to intrinsically change who we are as people and thereby change the planet. That's my answer.
That was a good answer.
Did you have any hopes, Lisa?
God.
Any additional hopes?
I mean, I just have hope for more young people to be interested in, managing producer positions and general manager positions, knowing about that. And knowing that it's not, some boring old financial accounting position, because it's not. Thank God.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful for that. Because there's like a lack. There's such a lack of diversity in the prospective field of executive directorship, general managing. Like it's sad. It's just something that post-secondary institutions don't prepare people for. I mean, there's great arts admin programs out there, but I wonder where the nuance is in those programs and other training programs outside of those institutions. Yeah, I'm just excited to learn and grow and welcome new people into producing and arts administration that would never have thought of it before, because it is creative, as we spoke before. It is.
I mean, it literally is. I remember for my MA, there was another program, and it was literally called creative producing. That was the label for it, and I was like, heck yeah. I mean, what other kind? It's creative as heck. So, anyway, sorry, Jordan, you were going to say something. I think there was a cue, perhaps.
Oh yeah, jump in.
I was just going to say that I also want to see mentorship become a bigger part of theater in general. I think it's really important that we use positions of leadership to cultivate the next leaders. If we're not, then like, why? Everyone is at some point going to not be in the job they're in, either because they retire or they die or they get a different job. Like, everyone at some point is not going to be in the job that they're in. And you need to be thinking about, like, who are the people, who are the younger people that are hungry and smart, who you can give opportunities to, I think that we should be able to immediately come up with a list of a dozen people that could lead every company in this city. But we maybe can't, because we're not cultivating leaders the way that we should be. We have people sitting in like associate artistic director positions who never get the artistic director job when it's time to fill it. Someone else is always brought in. And it's like, what are we actually doing? 2021 is really, I really want to think about the future of companies and cultivating those people at those companies that are invested in those companies and learning from the leaders and can really step in. We don't have a lot of that.
Here.
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
We have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
It's from one of the people at home. Are there any positive changes you've seen since the pandemic in theater?
Honestly, just like the nationwide reach for like any company. Like it's been so cool to, be watching a factory show online and then like see it on Twitter from a person in BC. That's so cool. Yeah. Like I'm sorry, that's such a positive change. And I know theater in person, but this is such an interesting option that we have that we weren't considering before. It's so great, and it's actually exciting.
It is exciting, and I hope that even when we come back in person, that we don't lose digital offerings entirely, because I do think it gives an opportunity to share shows with audiences that we would never get to share them with. I also think it creates accessibility for people who can't travel to spaces in ways that we hadn't really been thinking about before. But yeah, I mean, I think, and it's theater in general, not just the industry, but education. I mean, the fact that I'm going to be in 2 weeks teaching at Memorial University in Newfoundland from my living room is awesome. Never could have done that. Never could have done that. But suddenly we have this ability to reach people, and what the pandemic has done, as much as it has also isolated people, which is awful, is that it's created an equity of distance where everybody is equally far away from you on a Zoom screen, you know? And so yeah, you might be dealing with like time zones and stuff, but I can talk to you in Paris and you in Honolulu in the same meeting, and it's like we're all just in the room together. And I love that.
I wish I was in Honolulu.
Oh man, me too.
As I look out into the gray night, for sure.
Oh gosh. I also think that I like the process of just coming back to process. Like it's kind of been a gift for me as an artist, of like coming back to, how do I create? How am I looking at the thing that I'm creating and even producing? Like how, like it's been a reset during this time. And yes, it's been a terrible time. COVID is terrible. But this thing that we have, that this time, it's this strange gift. Who knew time could be such a gift? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of time, I'm cognizant of it and I'm annoyed. Why did it always be that thing where it just runs? Like, stay still for a second. So I guess, first of all, just gratitude. That's not enough of a word, but it's like the big feeling of gratitude for both of you, for you, Jordan, as always. Please, you like read my soul, and for everyone who's joining us. So I guess in wrapping up, Jordan, I was thinking about it with the Moonlight thing, since we talked about it earlier today. I've been thinking about it for ages, because that movie, like I said, like one thing, certain moments in that movie, I just stopped breathing, just for a bit, just because I needed to quiet. Something happened. And then I was thinking about what you were saying about this moment of holding someone's head as they learn how to swim. And I think a nuanced part of that with Cahoots is that it's never holding someone and swimming for them. It was always holding them so they could gain enough of that strength to swim themselves. And all I can picture is this, like, how we hold each other. And it's always holding each other. It's never just holding someone and swimming. It's always, you know, someone's always holding you. And I really cannot thank you enough for that hold, because I feel it, and I think other people feel it. And because of that, I think I can hold other people as well. So it's something that's, there's that other line, Janelle Monáe's character says it, and I think she says, "It's all love in this house," or something in that moment. And I was like, it is all love in this house. I love the House of Cahoots. So thank you for this home, for all of it. And I mean, I'll be around for the year, and I'll be watching, and I cannot wait until next year where we have, whatever chat it will be. I don't know if Jordan, if you have any final thoughts or.
Can I say something about Moonlight before Jordan gives his final thought? Because I love the fact that Moonlight has come into this conversation. Because 2 days ago, for reasons that I cannot explain, I went on YouTube and I looked up Moonlight wins Oscar, and I just watched that whole La La Land Moonlight moment again because it's so mind-blowing. And there's something about that moment that is so powerful for me. In giving and bestowing the accolade on the big Hollywood glitzy thing, and then being like, oh no, the greatness was actually this thing. We got it wrong. The greatness is this little movie that could. And to have to like apologize and course correct nationally for that mistake And I feel like that is representative of so much of what we have to do right now. That there has been so much greatness and brilliance that has not been given the accolade over and over and over again. And it's time to actually be like, oh crap, we actually got that wrong. And so I hope that marginalized artists and companies that cater to racially specific and marginalized artists, I should say that cater to artists of color and marginalized artists, because there are a lot of racially specific companies that are racially specific to white people. So companies that are dealing with artists of color, I hope that they get their due, and I hope that they are able to really shine and flourish, not survive, not exist, not keep from closing, flourish. They deserve it, and those artists deserve it. And there are few people that can write more interesting stories than the people that have spent their lives fighting in the margins. The tales that they have to tell are magic, stories of magic, and I want to see those stories exalted, and that comes by putting people in power that recognize the magic in those stories. So hopefully.
I think that's, Lisa, do you have anything else?
I can't wait to be in space with you, Tanisha, and also like being in space with you, Wallace, and you, Jordan, and everyone in Hot House and everyone in all the programs, just meeting people in person again. I can't wait for that day. I'm just looking forward to it. And so this has been a lovely evening.
It's so lovely.
I mean,
good, eh?
Questions,
Thank
but
you.
like, I'm really happy I said yes when Tanisha had this idea. So, thank you. Thank you.
It was one of your many good ideas, Tanisha.
Thank you both for saying yes to hosting this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the people that sent the messages. You guys, you're so
sweet.
You're so beautiful. So beautiful.
I just want to have a potluck with everybody now.
Yeah, no,
Folks, you're getting real-time idea generation.
Okay, we're never
going
to end this.
We're never going to end.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you for coming. Have a beautiful holiday. Before we go, I just want to let you know about I already told you about Pepper Pot, but there's one more initiative for the year that we will post about tomorrow, and that is that our play reading club, Playbates, is going to be launching over the holidays so that you can read your first play. I decided that the very first play that I wanted to read was a play by one of my heroes, a beautiful, beautiful play. If you haven't read it already, called The Adventures of a Black Girl in Search of God. And we will post on Facebook tomorrow and on our social media about how you can be part of our reading group. So thank you for your support this year. Thank you for being so amazing. We really love you.